this is David Stark from WatchOurPast.com, your website for movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. Today, I am excited to review The Forever Purge, which is the latest film in the Purge series, which started with The Purge, then went to The Purge Anarchy, then went to Purge Election Year, then had like a flashback to the first Purge, and now we are on The Forever Purge, which I believe is supposed to be the last film in the series, but you know, I bet the studios really like money, so I'm sure we'll have some sort of reboot or something else after. But it's billed as the last Purge movie in the series, and they also did a TV show about the Purge. So you know, if you've got an interest in the Purge, there's plenty of content out there. This is the latest one. It's being released on July 2nd, 2021, by Universal Pictures. It's coming to theaters, so you can check it out in theaters and you'll get that cinematic horror experience that you're waiting for and beat the heat. It's really hot outside, so you know it's a good movie to beat the heat in. So this review is going to have some spoilers as I talk about the film. You know, I'm not sure how many I'll have. You know, there will be some spoilers. So you know, be warned. If you don't want that, go check out my review on the website watchyourpast.com. I have spoiler-free reviews in there. I try to keep the details to a minimum in those reviews, so you can check it out then. And then after you watch it, come back and watch this. Or if you don't care about spoilers, if you just want to know more about the movie, then feel free to keep watching. But you've been warned. So in the Forever Purge, you don't really have any of the characters we've met before in the previous movies. I mean, the Purge doesn't really have a great through line. It doesn't usually have characters that reappear after movies. Although I think in the Purge Anarchy and the Purge Election Year, the character was the same. One of the main characters was brought through to that. But in this film, you have a whole new cast of characters. You've got Adela and her husband Juan, who are both immigrants from Mexico who sneak into Texas to avoid, I believe, cartel violence. And they make their way into Texas and work as ranch hands for the wealthy Tucker family. You've got Caleb, who's played by Will Patton, who is the father of the family. He's the sympathetic character. He is, you know, fair to his ranch hands, tries to have a good family life. And then you have Dylan, who's played by Josh Lucas, who's the son, and he's a little bit more jealous. He's a little more hot-headed. Josh Lucas is, you know, after Ford versus Ferrari, he's kind of the great, you know, good bad guy. Like he smiles at you, but then he also says some terrible things, and this is a similar character to him. You know, I like Josh Lucas. I think he does a good job. And in this one, he plays kind of a less sympathetic character, but you know, still ultimately a good guy. He's just kind of an asshole. So that's the dynamic. You have Juan, who is played by I'm gonna butcher this, so I'm very sorry. Tenoch Huerta. He is a ranch hand, and he's also, you know, just a very good cowboy, I guess. You know, he's good with the horses. He's good, you know, on the ranch. He's a very compassionate, caring person. And so he kind of gets the notice early on for his skills. And then there's a little bit of I guess, a rivalry between him and Josh and Dylan, because they are fighting for you know, not fighting, but, you know, there's some tension because of Dylan's father's favor, who, you know, he clearly respects Juan because of his skills, and he also, you know, loves his son. So there's a little bit of tension, not much, but enough to kind of like get some of the racist elements and some of the, you know, unfair elements that the Forever Purge tries to highlight in. And then the Purge happens, and I'll go into this later on things I like, things I didn't like. But in this movie, the Purge itself is not really that big of an issue, of a event. You know, it kind of comes and goes. But the big kicker here is that after the Purge, a group of individuals try to keep the Purge going. They don't want it to stop, so they continue to purge. And so you get what used to be a one-night event. I believe it was 12 hours. I think, what, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., 6 p.m. to 6 p.m., something like that, now turns into essentially war, you know, kind of a guerrilla war where the purgers are out trying to continue the purge. And it's a very racially motivated purge. I think this film tries to tap into some of the xenophobic elements that have been in America, that have been growing in America, becoming more prominent. And this film tries to highlight those and make the purge into more of a kind of xenophobic actual culling of minorities. And the purge has always had that aspect. You know, there's always been this, you know, element that the purge, the purge proper, the purge event targets minorities and you know, the poor, because they don't have the resources to be able to go into, you know, complexes and to buy the good security. And also they tend to, you know, be targeted by the individuals that participate in the purge. So there's always been that element, but the Forever Purge really kind of forces that home and turns it into a much more racially motivated purge. So I don't know if it works great. It is definitely an element, although it feels a little bit too forced and kind of a little bit different from what the purge proper has been. The purge itself was just a wild release where people would just go after whoever they want. This feels like a more targeted event, like a revolution almost. And so it works a little bit. I didn't love the direction it's going, but I see why they went that way because of kind of what you see in the news and how America has felt for a few years and still feels, I guess, these days. So I see the direction that why they went that way. It just didn't work as well for me. But so what happens is you've got these forever purgers are now descending on the ranch, and so you have these two families, Adela and Juan, and then the Tucker family, including some of the extended family. They have to band together along with some of the other ranch hands to try to survive and make their way to Mexico, who has opened their borders because of the chaos in America and is allowing people to come through for asylum. That was kind of an interesting plot twist where Mexico is seen as this paradise because America now has this violence. I liked that aspect of it. I thought that was kind of an interesting, play on what could happen if America does descend into violence. And so the film is about them making their way to the border to try to make it through in time before Mexico closes their borders and before America is consumed by violence. So that's the general plot of the film, and there are some spoilers in there. I'm going to talk about 3 things I liked, 3 things I didn't like, and we'll get going. So the first one is, hey, it's more Purge. I like the Purge movies. I thought the first one was interesting, but kind of over a little too fast. I thought Purge Anarchy was actually really good. It kind of hit that right tone of this grand event that you got to see a lot of different types of purge people. You got to see their crazy costumes, their insane reasons for purging. I thought that was actually a really good film. Election Year was okay. I mean, it was good. I liked that film. It kind of got into some more of the political aspects of the purge, which was interesting. The first Purge I didn't really like that much. I thought it felt just kind of a tack on. I didn't really think it needed to be made. And then this movie, hey, it's more Purge. If you like this kind of this film, you're gonna like it. I do like the idea, the event. Like the event itself is very tense, and generally the purge itself is a very tense, crazy environment, and it's a nice, you always get this kind of idyllic start, and then the purge happens, and everything kind of goes to chaos. And it's always an interesting mix, and you kind of seeing people in their regular lives versus their purge lives is always interesting to see. So I did like that, and I do like I like more purge movies, and I like the ideas and the themes in the film. So that was the first plus. The second is the purge is all about gore, and this film has a lot of good gore. You've got some imaginative traps at the start. You've got some very gory sequences when people are fighting each other. And so, it kind of goes hand in hand with the purge. In the purge, you're going to have violence, you're going to have gore, and the film does a good job with it. It looks well done. It looks visceral. It's maybe not as intense as some of the previous films. This movie, you got a lot more kind of gunplay and things like that, which doesn't have the same level of gore. But it's more purge. It's more craziness. So that was also a good, a nice thing. And then also the film has unsettling characters, especially at the start. There are some very interesting people. There's this trap at the start. It's like a rabbit trap that then these rabbit mask people come out and they try to use it to purge someone. And then that aspect of the purge is always the most fun, interesting for me. You get kind of this horror movie type character in a theoretically modern real life. And I always like seeing those crazy villains, the imaginative, masked, unsettling characters. Those are always fun parts about the Purge. But unfortunately, the Forever Purge has some things I didn't like about it. And the first is, the Purge film itself has always been this kind of tense event. You've got the start of the Purge where people are just getting ready for it, and you always have some people who are interested in it, some people who dislike it, and everyone's trying to survive or participate. And then you have the Purge event, and then everyone's just trying to wait it out until the end of the Purge when you're going to be safe. So in this film, because you've got the forever aspect of it, the Purge event itself doesn't really have that much tension. I mean, I think it's 10 minutes in the film where people are kind of, there's a little bit of a tense aspect, but generally it's a pretty low key part of the movie. And then you have the forever aspect, but the purge itself is not that scary, and then you lose some of that tension because you don't have that race to the end. You just kind of have the survival part. People need to survive to get to the border, and so it just kind of feels like your typical crazy apocalyptic journey film, and not what makes the purge such an interesting special film. So, and then I guess you could say there is that end result with spoilers, very big spoilers, when they get to the border. Maybe not all of them get there, but eventually some people do get to the border. So you do have that aspect, but to me it just felt like a never-ending stream of enemies, and it didn't feel like a purge film. It just felt like any sort of generic apocalyptic adventure movie. And part of this was number two. Towards the end, the enemies start to feel a little generic. At the start, you've got the interesting purge characters with their crazy masks and things like that. And towards the end, it looks more like kind of a biker gang, I guess. The last group of enemies, they're in spikes, I think, and leather and stuff like that, but they don't feel like purge characters. I always love seeing, like the characters with the founding fathers masks, and the character, the Statue of Liberty character with her light up neon craziness, or the strange mask characters. Towards the end, they just kind of look like generic soldier type people. And it kind of makes it lose some of the tension and unease that you get with the film. It becomes just more of a survival film where people are trying to survive the gunmen or survive, the enemies. And it doesn't turn into people trying to survive these crazed supervillains with their insane weapons, like a chainsaw on a chain, or, some of the crazy stuff that you've seen in the previous films. And the last part is that the film tries to push this kind of view, this America that is eating itself alive and trying to purge the minorities. And because of this, there's some dialogue that just feels really manufactured. I mean, I know why it's in there. They're trying to get to drive this point home and make the bad characters, seem worse. Well, I mean, they're all terrible. They're purging, but it makes them try to seem worse, and makes the try to really drive home their motivations. But it feels like some more generic type of roid rage, angry mob type dialogue, and it just doesn't feel like it's that genuine. It feels like they're really just trying to drive the point home. They're just trying to extra drive the point home. I feel like there could be more subtle ways to do it. But look, I've never written a movie, so maybe that's tough. Maybe they really, really wanted to make it clear to the audience. That's fine. It didn't really hit for me. Some of it just felt a little bit too specific and too pointed. And no, I'll go with a fourth one. I've kind of said this already, but this film, you lose some of the founding fathers aspect of the film. I've always liked that part where you've got these, crazy people that revere this alternate reality version of America. They like, wear Benjamin Franklin masks, they wear George Washington masks. They kind of talk about the new founding fathers and giving them the ability to purge. It almost becomes like a political religion, which is interesting to me. This one, they don't really have that because of the forever purgers are kind of a faction of the purge, and so they don't ascribe to the new founding fathers principles. They kind of break away from it, and so you don't have that interesting organized aspect of it. You've got this kind of more chaotic anarchy about the purge, the forever purge. I didn't love it. I'm sure some people will like. I'm sure if you just want more purge, I'm sure you'll love it. But I didn't like it. I felt like this film felt a little sloppier and a little bit less of an event than past purge films. But if you just want to see more purge, if you like this story, if you like these characters, it's not a bad way. You're gonna beat the heat, get into a theater, kind of enjoy some gore, enjoy some visceral scenes, and a pretty epic journey. So that's the Forever Purge. I gave it a rental, which means don't see it in theaters, wait for it to come to some sort of home entertainment setup so you don't have to spend the money. But if you see it in theaters, I'm sure you'll be happy. It's a purge movie, and hey, it's the summer. Let's beat the heat and get back in theaters. So those are my thoughts. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot and makes sure all my new content goes straight to you. And as always, please go to watchourpast.com for all your movie reviews and recommendations. Thank you.